Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. We have unusually warm weather right now up here in the northern part of Wisconsin, and I'm taking advantage of it. It's supposed to be like low 60s today. The water temp is only 46 degrees, so it's really pretty cold. We had a couple inches of snow last weekend, and I mean, it could be, we've been iced up at this point before. We could go till Thanksgiving. So I'm trying to take advantage of every day that I can get. And I figured I'd come out and do a video for you guys to show you how to fish a blade bait. I think a blade bait is a bait that is oftentimes something that a lot of people just don't fully understand how to fish. I think it's a little intimidating because after all, it's just a hunk of metal and lead. It's not like the juiciest looking bait, but I'll tell you what, it has that it factor when it comes to fishing in the fall time. I don't know what it is, but around cold water periods, it's just a great bait. From down south to up north, it catches them. And like I said, in 46-degree water, a lot of times it's hard to generate bites anywhere on anything, but a blade bait's one of the best baits to do it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is it's an extremely efficient bait. So a lot of times in your cold water periods, the fish are going to be deep, anywhere down to like 50 feet of water. If you're past the thermocline period, the fish could be anywhere. I mean, they literally could be anywhere. So because of that, it's a very good bait for fishing deep water. And it allows you to cover a lot of water because it quickly gets down to those depths. It stays deep. And it just is an efficient bait. Now, having said that, it's not necessarily the best bait just to go down the bank with, but when you're on a piece of structure that is a good target, which generally is going to be, you know, some rock or a steep break line or a deep hump, something where you've already identified a good fish holding area, it's a good bait to pick that area apart with and see if there's fish there in a rather quick, amount of time. It's a lot slower to fish, say, a football jig, or a lot slower to drag a drop shot around. So it's just one of those good baits that does, it identifies where the fish are at. It allows you to efficiently fish those areas, and it gets bit. I don't know what it is. Well, I can tell you what it is. In my opinion, it's the fact that during the fall period, you have a lot of shad die off, you have a lot of fish die off, and that's what a blade bait does. It gets down to the bottom, and you kind of just swim it around, and it looks like a dying bait fish that's down there, and it's an easy meal for fish that are in a lethargic mood. So there's a couple of baits that I really like. This is one. This right here is the knock and jaw. This is a jackal bait. This one is a very efficient bait. It really has a very good blade movement. Half ounce is kind of my standard size. I'll go up or down based on depth or wind conditions, but a half ounce generally works really well. The other one that I really like, well, there's a couple, but the other one I'm going to be fishing with today is just it's the G-Crack Bombay. This is another good blade bait. You can see the two colors are almost identical. I really like to have, for Wisconsin, I like to have a little bit of goldish, bronzy color in it. Seems like that works well. It doesn't work necessarily as well for me, say, down south. If I'm fishing a Cumberland or a Dale Hollow or a Table Rock, I just like silver. So like a Silver Buddy is another one of my all-time favorite baits. But these three really are very good. The Steel Shad is another one that I've had good success with. One of the biggest keys is I want a bait that vibrates very easily. And a lot of times that comes down to the blade width. If you've got the thinner the blade, the better. It seems like they vibrate with less movement, because the last thing I want to do is rip this bait high off the bottom to get it to vibrate. I'm fishing it almost like a football jig. I pull it up from like 9 to 12 o'clock. I'm trying to get my bait. I basically pull it until it vibrates, and I'll show you on the water. Hopefully we can catch some fish. You never know this time of year. You could catch a bunch of fish, you could catch nothing. So let's just get on the water, show you how to do it. Let's generate some bites for you, and hopefully we can catch a couple of big fish. Got you. He hit it and came back for it. Nice one. Right under the boat. He's cold. I'm not too cold. Come here, big girl. Golly, that's a nice fish. I did not think you were that big. Come here. Look at, everyone's always saying you can't use small hooks. A lot of these blade baits come with really small hooks. They catch really nice smallmouth. That's probably a 4.5. Just a really nice fish. Beauty. We're gonna put them back real wide. Water is 46 degrees. Put it back where we caught that one from. Bye, fish. Go back. I'll see you in a year. So that one came right here. This is the Knockin'. Here, let me show you the box. The Knockin' Jaw by Jackal. This is a very, very good blade bait. I throw the 1/2 ounce. The 1/2 ounce blade bait is kind of my standard. It just seems like they just get down so good because they're just straight metal that it's not an issue. I mean, if you've got wind conditions, I might go to a 5/8 or a 3/4. But the blade bait is just a excellent cold water bait for a couple of reasons. One is you can keep the bait in the strike zone for a lot longer because it's just a heavy bait. And two, and most importantly, it mimics a lot of the forage that these fish are eating. Now, you know, up here in this part of the world, we've got Cisco, we've got a lot of different lake minnows, we've got suckers. But you know, just like down south, if you've got a shad die off that's happening, we have the same thing that happens here. So when the water starts getting really cold, you get a lot of fish that die. And first thing those shad do, or those Cisco do when they die, is they float to the bottom. And then they start decaying and developing gases, and they'll float to the surface. But they really float to the bottom first, and that's when a lot of these fish are eating them. And because they're in a wintering mode, they're looking to eat right now anyways. Or feeding up for the winter, I should say. And if you have a dead bait fish that floats down to them, they're gonna eat it. And that's why a little blade bait works so well. So I'm gonna get back to it. And the thing here is you don't want to overwork it. And there's a couple of reasons. One, the fish are lethargic and they're gonna be tight to the bottom. I mean, I can't even see these fish on the bottom using my electronics because they're so tight to the bottom. So I don't want to rip it way out. It's not like the summer I'm trying to create those big reaction strikes where I can rip it 6-7 feet off the bottom. I'm trying just to bounce it right into their face. And a lot of times you'll actually feel the bait like roll the fish. You know, right before that last fish I caught, I actually, on the cast before, I swear I rolled over the back of a fish. And I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but what it feels like, it's almost like feels like you catch a leaf for a split second and then it pulls off. Like you don't feel the fish, it just feels like a wet sock. I made the same cast and the next cast I got bit. And a lot of times I think what happens is you actually piss them off a little bit when you hit them on the back. And that fish came back and hit it and then missed it. And then I dropped it back down and hit it again. I actually just let it kind of sit on the bottom for a second. It took it right off the bottom. But the key here is you're real slow pulls. You just want to vibrate it a little bit. You're kind of just really slow walking it back down that break line. And you know, that's a key regardless of whether you're fishing a really steep bluff down on like Dale Hollow or Cumberland, you know, or you're fishing up here in the North Country. You know, generally speaking, cold water fish are going to be relating more to those vertical breaks. So therefore, if you pull it too far, I'm actually going to pull it way off the break too. And that's not what I'm looking to do. There's one. Another big one. Oh boy. He hit it hard too. Look at that one. Oh, I can't get my hand around that one. Golly. That's a big one, guys. Look at that tank. Oh, God. The old knocking jaw. The two hooker, you know, I did a video a while back about cutting a hook off for weedless purposes. That's a good one. We might have to wait that one. Golly. Just a chunk. I'm going with a lighter line. In this case, I've got 10 pound. Well, actually, one rod is 10 pound, one rod is 12 pound fluorocarbon. It just helps keep the bait down there, which is my ultimate goal right now. I mean, you can see I'm really just kind of slowly feathering my bait back. It's not, I'm just kind of walking it back along the bottom. I'm trying to maintain bottom contact. And because of that, the lighter line really helps. My rod, this is just one of my favorite all-around rods. This is the NMB 873 is what I've been throwing. It's a 7.3 medium heavy fast action rod. You know, you want a faster tip to keep that, to get that blade to move faster. If you're throwing a really slow speed rod, it won't get the vibration because your rod is absorbing a lot of that movement. So you got to move it a lot further to get that vibration. So I'm trying to avoid that with a fast action rod. You know, because I'm not using my reel to retrieve my bait, meaning I'm retrieving it by pulling it with my rod, your reel speed doesn't matter as much. If you're having a hard time keeping it down, you can go with a slower speed reel because that'll just slow you down. But in this case, I mean, I've just got an Abu Garcia Revo MGX, which I believe has been discontinued, but this is an 8.0 to 1. Again, I like to be able to pick up line, and because, like I said, I'm using my rod to retrieve my bait, the reel, I'd rather have the faster reel speed to be able to pick up slack on these fish. That one feels better. That's a good one. I love this. You don't want to force them too hard because you've got, you know, they are smaller hooks that are not in super deep, and they're somewhat light wire. Let's see this one. This one feels pretty good. Oh yeah. God, they're so fat. Another 4+, 4.5. God, that's a little tanker. Come here, fish. Oh, wow. That's what we're talking about right there, guys. Look at just the bellies on that fish. I love it so much. That is another 4.5 for sure. Just big old fat fish. We're gonna get her back. You know, I just wanted to show you guys how good the blade bait can be in tough conditions when you're talking about really cold water temperatures. Just a fun bite. My GoPro batteries are about dead, so I'm gonna cut it right there. You guys have seen the potential. We've had 3 fish for, I don't know, 12, 13 pounds that were legal. I've had a couple of shorts, some walleyes. I don't know it'll make the video, but you'll see it. And yeah, like an hour and a half, something like that. So not bad fishing. I'm gonna get back to it. I got, I don't know, a couple more hours for sure out here. And thanks for tuning in. Go get yourself some blade baits. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Stay tuned, new one coming out tomorrow.